Nekatiwai, Natka Jera, the Topanupurata, Naguego. The Chununya, Nega was a wage, the Yatakanoru, Neswanigura. There's a what quit there. And Nahodo, Ahudin, then there's a what Nigurayada, and Nakari Hod, and Nego Nuni Aquanagade, and then go who went Aquayado. Nekatiwai, what Panupurata, Naguego, I recaguego to what Dakarita. When Nedia Kanakaskana there, Nekio Hutagwe, Kanyawa Haje, Nekarihuya Sununya, the Tony what got to Haje, it is a Wadora where Aguego, Nana Nayawa, Nana Aguego, Amzayete, and then Naho, the Neskona Ega. They got why are what fun for that. I give you all a greeting, and I thank you all for coming. And it's nice to know there are people still among the populations who are not selfish, that they will take the time to come out and to try to listen and learn and get a better understanding of one another. It seems that everybody here is of good health, but we know that there is not peace in our minds because this situation is happening all over the world. It's happening here in my homeland. It's happening in the homeland of others who have come from around the world. We are always looking for what is the best thing for our children, for our grandchildren. And it's hard today that there are the kind of minds out there that they do not care about your children or your future generations. They don't even care about their own generations, their children, because if they did care, they would not be doing what they're doing. The thing is that they're going to have their children inherit hatred. And that's not something that belongs among people. Here in this land, before the coming of the Europeans, we had a way of life. Many of you have heard the expression, the Great Law. Well, we were not a people who had a law. We never had a law. The reason we never had a law was because we are a free people. And if you have to have law, then it means you are not free. It means someone else rules over you. Someone else makes the decisions for you. In our way, we had a way of life. We call it Jinyuwariho, the way our minds are in accordance with the creation. It is a creation that has continuously to show us how we are to move in the journey of life, how we are to look out and for the well-being of the children. Because the old people always say when the children follow us, they look up. And those of us who are supposed to be mature, we are supposed to always look at the path ahead of us and remove any obstacle that our children might trip over. It's our responsibility. It's not about a job or anything. It's about a responsibility. When we talk about our children, we do not say my daughter or my son. Because when you say my son or my daughter, it's like they're your property. Your children are not your property. Your children are your responsibility. They had no choice. You brought them into this world. Therefore, you must take the responsibility of caring for your children. And not only your children, but to care for your neighbor's children. Because you know that there's a future. And you are not the ones to decide and determine anything. What your children will find between each other, they will move forward in life. You cannot say, I don't want my daughter with the boy next door. The thing is that if you're not happy with the boy next door, it's not him you're not happy with. It's what he's being taught. You must address the people who are responsible for him and straighten them out. It's like countries. Countries must take care to make sure that people respect one another all over. Our word for respect is not the same as in the English language. Respect is just a word. It is just a word. In our language we say, that means we will help enable others to be the best that they could be. Not to be the best, but the best that they could be. It is not up to us. It is up to everyone. When we help one another, we treat each other properly. But there's a word that is missing today in all of the vocabularies. Is the word love. Our word, when we say love, Kanien'keha, we take everything good of ourselves, the best of ourselves, and we embrace others with that. That's what love is. It is not a word. It is not an emotion. It's about a life, a way of life. How you treat each other properly. Today we're gathered here for a very sad time. I don't even like to listen to the news anymore. I don't like to listen that millions of children are starving. Not just in Palestine, but when they tell you 35 million people have been killed because one group says 200 and some odd hostages have been taken. But yet I already know that there are thousands of Palestinians in Israeli jails just for being Palestinian. They have farms and land that they work to build for their children. And these people come there and take that away from them. And these are supposed to be Israeli citizens. And yet they're given the weaponry to go and attack farmers, take their homes, take their lands, destroy their crops, starving them out. Now, where is the humanity? There is no humanity in these people, in what they're doing. I can't say it's all the people of Israel, but I know it's the people at the helm. They're the ones making these decisions. I watched the news. There are people like yourselves all over North America gathering to support peace. And I see that it's not Palestinian people, it is all people. You even have people who are called Jews who are amongst you, who are supporting you, because they are being honest, is that it is not right to treat anybody this way. If people live in certain areas, there should be an established procedure and protocol to help, to enable that the peace continues between them. In our way, when we travel, I as a Kanien'keha, if I was to go up north to where the Anishinaabe live, when I got to where they live, at the edge of the forest, I would make a fire. I would let that smoke rise so that they know that I'm there. They will send someone to greet me to find out what is my business, what am I there for. And if I tell them that the hunting is no good where I come from, or else I can't find the kind of medicines that I need, I come to your area. It's called courtesy. And then the runners will take it back to their people, and they'll say, the Tekarontakeh is here because he needs better hunting, he needs medicine, he needs other things to sustain his family. Say, okay, he's not here with bad intentions. So they welcome me, they come get me, they bring me before their people, and they will remove any birds that I have picked up on the way in my journey. They would also symbolically dust me off. Then they would give me something to drink to clean the dust from the dust that I would breathe during my travel. Then they would bring me into their home. They would feed me. They would make me comfortable. When everything was good, then they would ask for me to explain myself. Then we can do this in a harmonious way. No blood needs to be spilled. And that's why we have a belt, a wampum belt. It's called, in my language, we call it Zawadawatra. And it means one spoon. But today in English we call it the dish with one spoon. Because the dish is the land. It's our mother. Our mother, the land is our mother. And our mother produces so much, not just for the human, but for all life. All life, that all life can sustain themselves, continue to populate, and that because that was creation's intention, was life would go on. And so the spoon, we say, is that because our mother is there to provide this for all life, we use a spoon when we eat. We do not use a knife. We do not use any sharp object, because when we're reaching in to the dish, we cannot allow a sharp object to pierce our skin and let the blood flow. The spoon does not cut no one, and we can all eat from the land together. Our mother, she takes care of all of us. The deer and the moose don't fight over the land. The buffalo does not fight with the antelope. The fish, they don't fight for they're the only ones. Yes, they will eat one another and so on, but that's part of life. That's part of the way of life. And this is how they help one another. The insects, the birds, the animals, even the ones that crawl beneath the earth. In my language, we say, Tekarontakeh. All my relatives. Every life on this earth is your relative. Even if they come from the other side of the oceans, they are still relative to you. They are still part of the universal family. And we must take care of one another. We must help one another. There are stories in the Bible. There's this one I've always heard about. There's this young boy. His name was Joseph. He come from a big family, but he was the youngest of all the brothers. And his father spoiled him because he was the youngest, which is a natural thing in many families. The baby is always the baby, no matter how old they get. They're still the baby. And so the father gave his son a special gift. They say it was a coat of many colors. It was a beautiful coat. His brothers got angry because while he was at home getting all this attention from his father, the brothers had to go and watch the goats and the sheep and do all the work that had to be done. And so his brothers resented him. Then one day they took him with them with his beautiful coat. They took him and they seen some slave traders going by. So they sold their brother Joseph to the slave traders. Then they killed one of the sheep and put that sheep's blood on that coat and took it back to their father and said, listen, our brother was killed by a beast, a wild beast. And here is his coat, and here is the blood of Joseph. So the father went into mourning. But this Joseph got taken. He got taken to Egypt. And there he was in a prison. And he kept talking, this Joseph, very intelligent young man. He kept talking about the famine that's coming. And it's not because he had a crystal ball. And it's not because some supernatural being came to talk to him. He was just smart enough to look at the change in weather. He could see that the land was not productive because it was too dry. And he kept talking about this, that we're going to have many years of starvation because of this. So when the Pharaoh heard about this, he called for that boy to come be brought to him. And the boy told his story. So the Pharaoh said, since you seem to know so much and you're so intelligent, he says, I'm going to put you in charge. I'm going to put you in charge to fill up my granaries. So now Joseph has the task. Because if he doesn't fill the granaries, the Pharaoh's going to have him killed. But then in the story it says Joseph was successful in filling up the granaries. And so no one ever questioned, where did he get the grain to put in the silos? Where did he get the grains to put inside the pyramids? Where? No one talked about that. But yet, in the hieroglyphics on the walls of the pyramids, there are hieroglyphics where people, some have the head of a coyote or something, others have a cat head, they're carrying baskets and so on. And in the basket, in one of these, is the maize. Now how is it, the maize, when they did not have maize on the other side of the ocean. It was because of the trade relation the people had with the people of this land. They took maize and they filled up the granaries, and that's so that the people could have flour to make bread. But no one ever tells you why. Nobody tells you, because the thing is that in spite of history always portraying the people of this land as being warlike, savage, cannibalistic, and whatnot, none of it was true. But we were a people who always traded. Even when the people of Europe came here, we extended to them what is called the Ohade, meaning the two roads of life. There is the road of the European, with their beliefs, their language, their religions, and so on and so forth. But over here, we had a different way of life. We had a different worldview. And our worldview was based on everything that was real. The sun shining, the moon, the winds, the stars, the earth, everything that grows and lives, the waters. This is what we believed in, because we knew that this was the ultimate truth. Creation is the ultimate truth. If we all go back to the beginning of time, we all had only that which we could see, what we could hear, what we could experience, even though we had no language. But because of this, we'd seen the importance. We had put in all of us something that was called, in my language we call it Negura. It means that which will take care of you, but you have to use it. You have to use it. That's yours. That's a birthright creation gave to you for you to use, not for someone else to use, not for someone else to control. You have to exercise it. Your mind was made in a way that you can analyze. But if you're always being told what to do, if you have to live in accordance with a society of law, then your mind is not working. Someone else is using your mind. And today, there's people and children dying all over this world because they're not being allowed to use their minds. That small percentage controls everything. And for the young people to come together all over and say, McGill, stop financing these people who are causing these problems, causing these wars. Because these wars aren't about people. It's about the elite continuously controlling the masses. They're distracting what's coming in the future. And I don't need a crystal ball to know what's coming in the future. I look at my grandchildren. My wife and I, every morning we talk about it. What is life going to be for them? Because we've seen in our own lifetime how things have changed. And if you do not know your history, you're going to repeat the same mistakes again. You're going to do it over and over because that's what has happened. History has continuously repeated itself. There are people throughout the world who have tried to bring about a peace. But it was very hard for them to bring about a peace because they did not look at the sun rising every morning. They did not look at our grandmother appearing at night, or our distant cousins showing their faces, or our cousins of waters as they flow. They did not make us understand, teach us to understand all of our relations. Because what we have to work for is not only how do we defend the human being. Because, stop and think, if there were no human beings on this earth, how do you think nature would be? How do you think nature would be?